Just once.
You can try to use it. Use it a little more because we're talking with your Matt right now. With our friends.
Cool. Greetings, Cornerstone Church. We are here with our missionaries Juan and Marissa Macayo in Quito, Ecuador, and we wanted to get you guys connected with them, and one of the ways in which we could do that now with technology is through Zoom. And there's this baby Willow. Hi.
Hello, guys.
She's not a baby anymore. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, but that's sometimes.
And so we wanted to sort of give you guys an update, and so we're going to be chatting here with them and hearing how things are going with them and their family, their church, the issues with the coronavirus down there, and other ways we can pray. So Brother Juan, as your wife is dealing with the family crisis there.
Yeah, right now. Brother Juan just tripped. He was on his way to say hi because Willow said like, "Hey, come say hi," and he came running a little fast. He's
fine. Oh no.
Yeah, I know. Because like they've been kind of like, I mean they've been. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they've been kind of working with a little cold, so they're extra sensitive right now.
Especially
yeah.
All right, man. Wait. Well, why don't you just, before we get into some of the crisis issues down there with the coronavirus, as we were talking a little bit beforehand, and it's just a very difficult situation. But before we get into that, maybe give us an update on you guys, you and your family, just how things going with you. Just give us an update, brother.
Yeah. Well, first of all, hi, friends. So good to see you guys, or you guys seeing me, and I look forward to seeing you guys. But we're just grateful for you guys for Cornerstone. You guys have been an integral part of like the ministry here in Ecuador. I still remember visiting over there and thinking that that's where the Lord was calling me, to then just see the heart of these men that are your pastors to plant the church there and to love that city. And then that convicted me to come here to my home country and plant a church. So grateful for Cornerstone, you know. Then thanks for loving us. Thanks for the clothes that you guys have sent and like gift cards that when we're in the States has been such a blessing. So first I just want to say that you guys are such a blessing to us. As a family, we're doing well. You know, this situation is pretty intense. There's things changing constantly, as I'm going to talk about later. Our city or country has been hit pretty hard. We are one of the top places with most cases in Latin America, and our country is one of the smallest countries in Latin America. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But as a family, we're doing well. The Lord is good, and you know, we're to give thanks in all circumstances. And right now, this time has provided some great opportunities to just be as a family here together. You know, I'm really grateful because life is pretty busy as a missionary. So I think it's been really good to just be here at home and like you see even areas which I need to grow in my shepherding in my own home. We had some great conversations. Even last night we stayed until pretty late just chatting with Marissa about things that the Lord is teaching us. But we're doing well. Yeah, we're doing well. The kids are doing well. We had a little bit of a scare right at the beginning of the situation because as soon as the city was shut down. So as the city started to get shut down, like I think Willow knocks first.
Willow first.
Well, yeah, Willow had a fever, you know, during this time, like they get a fever and then are like, oh, what's happening? You know, and then Knox got it. Right now she's pretending to be coughing. Yeah, but so that was a little bit scary at the beginning, but you know, trust in the Lord.
Yeah, and they're doing okay now. I mean, they didn't seem like they really had much.
They have a weird cough.
Yeah,
that's going on, but I think it hasn't had any other. There's no other symptoms or anything, so they just have I don't know if it's weather or something like that.
Yeah, it might be allergies or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good, man. That's good to hear. Marissa, you guys have been down there, what, 10 years? You said 10, 11 years.
In July.
Yeah, I've been here 10 years. I got in here. This will be my year 11, and then we got married 10 years ago. We'll celebrate our 10-year anniversary in July. So
cool. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
That's super exciting. It's weird it's been that long because you know we remember Juan when you were up here, and Marissa. I mean, we were in college. You know, it was what 2003, 2004, something like that. You know, we had counseling classes together, and so it's just. It's weird that time's flown by this past like 16 or so years that we've known each other. But it's a privilege and joy to get able to partner with you in small ways as a church, and so it's just great to hear how your family is doing, and we're thankful that you guys are doing well. Maybe update us on the church, just different ministries that you guys are kind of having to do now with everything, and just what does life look like for you guys down in Ecuador with the church, and just just different situations than we're dealing with here in the States.
Yeah. So what our city, Quito, we're in the capital of Ecuador, it's called Quito, and one of the first was one of the first cities to shut down. So we've been, this week will be 5 weeks, right? 5 or 6
Tuesday,
weeks.
yeah, 5.
Yeah. So today is 5 weeks of being in shutdown. So it's been already 1, 2, 3, 4, like 4 or 5 Sundays in which we had to meet online. So that was a kind of tricky thing. I think I sent you or Eric, or I might have sent some pictures of like trying to move my study into a place where we could record, by God's grace, like we were able to invest a few years ago in some like recording stuff. So to be able to connect the camera.
Oh, great.
So that was a blessing. So, but just trying to set all that stuff up.
Yeah.
We've been working through that. So every Sunday for the last 5 weeks, we've had to stream, the service.
Are you streaming that from your home then, or?
Yeah. Well, we're trying to figure out a mix. Our internet is not the greatest when it comes to streaming. So we've learned that it might not be best to stream it right at the same time that we usually have our celebration. So what we've tried the last couple of weeks and seems to be working is that we record the sermon and then we stream it live, but like a recorded version at 4:30 from here. And then Brother Danilo that was helping when Eric was here last time. He actually like edits the video a little bit, good. There, and we put the every time we try it as a church that whenever we preach, we have application questions. So we post the application questions for the sermon. So that then community groups keep meeting through Zoom. So that's been a blessing. We have right now 7 community groups.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and it's been just such a blessing to see the last 2 years, and it's crazy. You guys have read The Trellis on the Vine, right? Like I remember.
We have. Yeah, leadership team read that about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember, but at the end of The Trellis of the Vine, the author actually says like, what would happen if the world right now goes in a pandemic and no one can meet so it was just crazy because 2 years ago we started reading that book because we've been trying to develop, leaders. Our church previously was the pastors were missionary pastors, the majority. And right now I'm the only one, but at the beginning there were missionaries from that we used to partner with, dear friends that are no longer in the church. So everybody was like a missionary that wasn't leadership. So past this last couple of years has been a huge transition from being a church with missionary pastors that have more time, have more resources, to just like normal, like day-to-day people that are faithfully serving at the church. So when this whole thing started, I took the book and I was like, hey guys, like we read this together, let's go back to the end. And you could see in the faces of people being like, wow, like God has been preparing us for this. And it's been so encouraging to see that community groups are shepherding themselves, through stuff. So it's been good, Then one more thing that you guys can pray for is that we started a series of videos called Counseling and COVID, in which we're trying to provide biblical answers to how to navigate the circumstances, So I did a video on the 3 trees diagram last week. So in which we talked about the sun, how the sun puts pressure, squeezes our hearts, and our hearts start to show the fruit, either fruit or thorns. So we talked through that. And by God's grace, we've been able to reach out to some teachers from biblical counseling, like Dr. Street and a few of those other guys. And we're going to start recording videos with them to provide answers to that. So you can pray for that because it's kind of something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're excited to do that. And if you want to practice Spanish, we're going to have to do like a live translation. So we'll ask them questions beforehand, but they'll answer and they'll translate live. So even for some of you guys that will want to listen to English, Spanish stuff, that might be helpful too.
Yeah, man. No, that'd be great. Yeah, we'd love to kind of listen to that and tune into what you guys are doing. And I'm sure everything you're saying, brother, is applicable to us even here. Our situation's probably a lot less dire than what you guys are going through, but our hearts are still the same. And we could still use your counsel and your wisdom, brother. Well, that's great, man. That's encouraging to hear, and just things going on in the church. What are you preaching through right now?
Actually, I was gonna finish like that. It was, I think, like third Sunday. I was gonna finish Ephesians. We've been in Ephesians for 2 years, so that was gonna be like the last sermon, and that last sermon had to stop because we couldn't. We met. So we decided as elders that we've been walking through Ephesians together for such a long time that we decided to do like this last sermon when we get back together, you know. But we had already planned to do a series in Psalms. So it was actually perfect, you know. So we had 2 weeks of transition. I went through First Peter 1, you know, just talk about what are the tough situations, you know. So we did that, and then I did like kind of a recap a little bit. We did a prayer service in which we prayed through Ephesians 4. You know, like the put on, put off. So we did more of that, and then we started Psalms. So I'm preaching through Psalms. So we're in Psalm. I want to get to preach Psalm 3 next time. And this week actually Pastor Pablo gets to preach. So I get 2 weeks off. So I'm grateful for that.
All right, man. Well, that's encouraging.
What are you guys doing?
So Eric right now is he finished Ecclesiastes, and then he was doing a series on just the greatness of God, looking at the different character qualities of God, different attributes of God. And he's right now just in a 2-week, probably a 2-week series in just Philippians 1 towards the end there of just looking at just Paul's desire for the Lord and for ministry and in the midst of suffering and just how to think through that. And then he will be starting a new series. We haven't fully announced it yet. Probably First Peter, starting the book of First Peter. And in about a week or so. So it's it's been it's been not necessarily a difficult time, but an unusual time for preaching at a camera. For you've experienced that as well. But it's the word of God's going forth, man. You know, the word of God is going forth in different ways, and that's encouraging. Marissa, why don't you update us just on what is home life looking like for you? Just what are some of the challenges? What are some of the joys, and maybe there's some differences that you're having to face now with this issue?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about like Hota said, having different I don't know what you're called, different conversations.
This is great to see your kids, by the way. It's great for our church to see that.
Yeah, I think trying to keep, some kind of schedule, and also, there's so much going on, and trying to work through, I think us trying to work through everything that is going on, how rapidly things are changing, but yet also keep some kind of semblance of normal, so that doesn't really affect them. And just creativity in an apartment with no, there's no real outside space. We have a little concrete space, which is nice. And thankfully I got some chalk before this whole thing happened. So we've got chalk there and all that. So just trying to be creative in that. But also it has been a very sweet time with Hota here, and just, I can see for them in their little worlds, they're just happy that we're all together, and so just being reminded of that. And so, but the Lord's been good to help us to see the blessings in this, and also just to guard our thoughts and how that's all related to them. So
Yeah. Well, we'll continue to be in prayer as you guys are kind of stuck in an apartment and in the middle of a city during this crisis.
Yes, and having to get some kind of groceries and stuff has been interesting, but at least why don't you update us on that? Just what does that look like for you guys? Just being in the city, we were talking a little bit beforehand, just kind of the lockdown. Maybe just walk us through just what's kind of going on there in Quito. How you guys are surviving. And just kind of in general, just what is life looking like for you guys?
Well, so as I mentioned before, I think the first case arrived to Ecuador about 2 months ago, There was a case that came in from Spain, and it came to the coastal city of Guayaquil. And from what is understood is that this person came from Spain and then came for a wedding. So this lady went to a wedding or some big event, and then pretty much from there it spread pretty quickly. So the city that's been hit the most in Ecuador is the city of Guayaquil, which is the coast, and so it's like the largest technically city in Ecuador, the largest port. And the situation is really grim there. It's really bad. Like it's been in the news, the U.S. news in some cases. Because pretty much the health system and just even the mortuary system, I guess, like has collapsed. So it's so actually like the week right before Holy Week, Passion Week. So the situation has been really bad, and even the government came in and kind of apologized because it said like, like we this is terrible, like we're in the news all over and it's we couldn't do it, so there's been a task force. I want to be careful what I said in front of the kids too, because she understands stuff, but like pretty much like the number of people that have passed away has been like almost 2/3 more than what it usually has been in those cities. Wow. So from a number of like the normal number in that city is like about 30-ish people a day, and in some cases you had like up to hundreds of people. So it's been really bad. Our city is it's technically from case 0. It's been about 10 days after. So 10 days would have been about late last week. So pretty much they're saying that if it's going to hit really hard our city, it should be around like this week. So we were like talking about that with Marissa yesterday, of like just being really careful to not go outside. The props of being in a big city is that there's a lot of services that we can use, so there's services of deliveries for food, deliveries of groceries, deliveries of medicine. So we're trying to use some of those just to not get out, and like we have a little station right outside our door in our apartment with like all sorts of like wipes and disinfectant stuff. So as soon as food comes in, we disinfect and then we come back in. So yeah, but definitely, there's new rhythms, there's a bunch of new things that we have to be thinking through right now. 1 second. Hey, not pushing each other. Yeah. Come here. Let's say hi to the Tio. Yeah. And these two are starting to become brother and sister, like, Yeah. So yeah, but we're working through that. I think if you guys can pray too, by God's grace, even like through the support of churches, like like we're in a good situation. I mean, it's not the best situation, but it's a really good situation. We're extremely grateful for that. But we're also making sure that we're serving people around us, in the church. So as a church, what I was sharing with you before is that we have a group of people that are our mercy ministry. So with our mercy ministry, we try to serve the most vulnerable in our church. So we have people that literally they don't know where they're going to spend the night, kind of people that come to our church, and some of them have gotten saved, some of them don't. So we're praying for them. So we're trying to figure out how to serve them. We work with CHF, Children's Hunger Fund. So we got a bunch of boxes from them many months ago. So we're running low on those, but we're using those to drop. Some people have like really sacrificially taken some of those days that they can actually drive, and I'll talk a little bit more in a minute, to go drop off those boxes to those families. And those families many times come from really far in the city. So we dropped off some boxes like when this whole thing started, and then again like last weekend, so that people should be good for 2 more weeks. And we're trying to figure out what other ways creatively we can get food to those people that are part of our flock. Just to get you an idea, in Ecuador you have what is it called?
Curfew.
A curfew. Yeah, we have a curfew in Ecuador. Right now you can't leave your house after 2 p.m. Any day. So like you're in a curfew from 2 till like I think 6 in the morning. Also, there's that's right. There's also restrictions of driving. So depending on your license plate, you can take your car out just 1 day a week between those times. So between 6 in the morning and 2 p.m. So that just like really limits much of what you can. So we can only drive our car on Fridays between 6 and 2. And over the weekends, you can drive at all. And all this they're trying to do just because the cases exploded so fast in Guayaquil, and you had what I just shared before. they want to make sure it doesn't happen in other places that could easily happen. But at the end of the day, like, again, like, it's been an opportunity, as we know, like, the Lord uses all things for good. So in one sense, I think we need to navigate that this is hard, and I think we need also be careful, because I think sometimes we can be like, oh, like, God is good and like everything's good, and it's true, but that doesn't minimize human suffering, and people are grieving, and we want to learn how to do that well, while at the same time we trust in Him, and we see that the goodness of the Lord in these times, and I think Psalm 9 towards the end, talks about like how everybody kind of gets the idea that God is sovereign, like He humbles the nations, and I think what a time right now to think about those things, all those things that we try to hold on to, either it'll be politically or economically or health, and all those things have been in shambles now. So we realize that the only true source of strength and of comfort and of refuge is the Lord, and may the Lord allow us to be sanctified during this time, that He is doing that, but that we'll have soft hearts to do that.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's so how has maybe that curfew and some of the stuff, you mentioned the mercy ministry of the church, just, I mean, how are there other ways the church has just kind of been maybe affected by this, or different ways you've seen just kind of people, like you said, just kind of sacrificing their time and things to serve? How's that kind of looking?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I think it's been tricky too. I feel that, like, you can pray even for my heart as a pastor here at the church, because Ecuador is known to have a lot of parent church organizations. So a lot of parent church organizations, that's what they do. They're not planting churches; they're just helping poor people, and we're grateful for that. At the end of the day, we know that the mission of the church is to make disciples. So this is a really beautiful and hard time too, because you realize that I think, like, in Galatians it talks about, like, as much as you can, do the good to all people, especially for the households of the faith. So I think, like, our strategy has been, first of all, to make sure that people in our church are taken care of, because we have people that are in really tough situations, so we're making sure that those people are getting taken care of then, and then, like, trying to go to that second circle of, like, who are those people that are in our circle that we need to serve, and so we're navigating that. As a church, I think that it's been really neat as different ministries are stepping up to see how can they, kind of change a little bit of what they do so that they can serve. So a few weeks ago, our dear saints in the Fuentecitas, or kids ministry, started to just send like a video with the Bible story. So that's really neat. The first couple of weeks we didn't have worship because we can't meet in one place to record everybody. So I was just recording on my own, and you don't want to hear me singing. And it sings really well, but right now with the kids, she's just trying to make sure that the kids are quiet so that they don't show up on the background like, hey,
Yeah.
So then the people that work with worship, they said, we asked them, and they said, like, hey, we can record something. So then our dear brother Danilo kind of pieces all those parts together. So I think people are just navigating how to serve each other better. Counseling continues to happen, and the normal, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Are you guys doing counseling again, like over Zoom or those sort of things? Because you guys can't meet. I'm assuming, like, even though you can go out maybe between those times, you can't meet with anyone else, right? Outside of your home, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you go out, for what I'm to understand, it's like you can, even in that time between 6 and 2, it can only be for like food or like medicine or not. You can't even go on a walk, like just a casual walk.
And also we want to be careful not to do that, because I think you could probably like, you're not supposed to go on walks, but you see people going on walks.
It's hard to tell.
But then, like, you just want to be careful too, because we are in the big city, and just so you know, like, from our house, like, or barrio. Oh man, I can't think right now. Sometimes translation time. Or like our zone.
Our zone, our area.
Area. Like from our area, like there's cases like really close by. Like this top place of cases, which is like the financial district and where a lot of business are. So there's a lot of cases in that area. Is the first place in Quito, which is still a lot lower than the coast. And then there's another neighborhood where our kids were born, that it's by the hospital, that it's a little further. I think it would be kind of like towards the middle of the city, towards the center of the city. and there's other cases there, you know, so we're kind of surrounded right now. So even
right around us,
so even because of that, we're like saying like, oh, let's just go and walk around, because you know, you just don't know where
for sure.
So
you want to be safe. Do you know how many cases there are in Quito itself? Just in that, just
there's
your city?
In our city of Quito, I think that there's like almost like 900 cases right now.
Okay. Yeah. And then in the other city,
total, there's like, I think like we just broke the 10,000 mark.
So that's as far as Guayaquil. That's why it's
70% of the cases I think are in Guayaquil.
Oh, got it. Okay, yeah. And so Quito is trying to prevent it blowing up. Like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, man. Yeah, it's a battle. It's, you know, it's it's encouraging though to hear in the midst of all that, just the ways you guys are still thriving in your home and finding new ways to serve and having these conversations with each other and loving your kids and serving the church. And so we want to continue to pray. You've mentioned a few prayer requests for us, brother, and you know, for the church and things, but just for both of you guys, just what are some other ways that we as a church can come alongside and help support or pray for you guys? What are some practical things that we can pray for?
I think that right now, we were praying for the Lord to continue. We've been working hard. I've been working hard to like leadership development, and you know, we had a plan of what we were going to do this year, and obviously that plan is not happening. But it's been really neat because it's become really practical, you know. And so we just pray for I think like for us to know how to serve those that are also serving the church, you know. So I think that's important, because we're thinking through that, you know, there's a lot of emergencies right now, so we want to attend to some of those emergencies, but also keep much of the leadership of the church encouraged. And I think that easily those guys are just they're just really faithful. You know, they're shepherding people as well. So I think it's easy not to, like, you know, they're not the squeaky wheel. So we want to just be really mindful of serving them, you know. And we know some of those people that are having a hard time with various things, either health stuff or they're taking care of others, you know. So that I would say that's one. The other one, just for creativity and like, you know, and we realize areas in which we need to grow as a family and rhythms, you know. So we're working through that even as a family, you know.
Yeah. And I think, like Coach was saying, with the different, like, there's certain things that are happening as a whole, like with the food delivery and things like that. But we've also been blessed just to see here and there different people connecting, or like, because there are delivery services, people sending people food. And like, we had some, we don't even know who it was, but sent us like a bag of meat, you know, and we have no clue who it was. I mean, we think we might know, but you don't know, you know. But still, thank you. And so that's just been really encouraging, and just that we can encourage. I meet on Wednesdays with two ladies from the church that we used to meet at my house, and so but that we've just one of them is Gabby Erazo. So
we know her.
So we've just been trying to keep that up and encourage one another and pray for needs that we know about. And so that's been a real encouragement. So we just pray in that we can continue that, and also just see other women that might be an encouragement to as well, and invite them in. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, great. Yeah. Well, we're grateful for you guys, and you know, we'd love to eventually make it back down. Make it back down there and support you guys, you know, with a team eventually, as things kind of quiet down. And I know we were planning on that this year, but probably we're planning on a few other actually mission trips this year to a few other places, but by the sovereignty of God, we've had to press pause on those, and that's you know, that's fine. And so we will look forward to when we can do that again one day. But if the ACBC conference is still happening, I may see you there. Because I think you said you were going to be there, right? At least,
you
at least you, brother.
We were asked. I was asked to just do a workshop during the conference. So,
yeah.
so we're going to do a workshop in Spanish, and yeah, and that's exciting. Just other news. Like we right before this, we applied to become an ACBC training center, and if it all
great
approved, we might be. I think we are. We would be the first Spanish training center in the world, which is kind of
yeah.
So what a
I think there's only like one right now outside of the United States, and that's in South Africa with Wayne Mack. So you'd be like the second one ever outside of the U.S.
Yeah, so we're excited.
That's great, brother.
That, so yeah.
And hopefully I can go to the conference too. I haven't been to, well, before the kids we went in 2014, but I'm hoping to go too because his family lives close by. They can. Can go.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, I'm planning on being down there, so we'll see you, Lord willing, and maybe we'll see if we can get a few other people from the church to tag along and to come down. Well, let me pray for you guys, and then I'll let you go. But thank you so much for taking the time to catch up and to update us as just on your family life and church life and just the things going on down there that we can continue to pray for. But let me go before the throne and pray for you guys.
Thank you.
Heavenly Father, we praise you for your kindness and your goodness to us. We thank you that you are Lord of all, you are sovereign over everything, and you are still building your church in the midst of this crisis. We thank you and we praise you for what you're doing at La Fuente and how you are continuing to build leaders and over the past several years really preparing Brother Juan and his team for this crisis and for even using this to mature some men and to cause people to serve in new and different ways. And Father, we praise you for that, how you are continuing to build your church and to grow and to sanctify your saints. Father, we pray just for special blessing and grace upon Juan and Marissa and their family as they're kind of cooped up and inside a lot and can't really do much outside, and with two young kids running around. Father, may you give them extra grace, extra mercy, and extra just creativity as they are seeking to do family life a little bit differently. Give them grace as they're leading the church and leading different ministries and small groups and preaching and counseling and doing these videos and many other things. Father, may you give them much mercy, much grace. May this bear much fruit. May people come to know you as a result of the ministry and the ways that people are serving. And may your church be sanctified. Father, we ask all this in your great name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Again, it's a privilege to partner with you, and we'll hopefully catch up sooner than later.
Yeah, dear brother, love you guys. Say bye. Say bye, Knox. You want to say bye?
Thank you so
much.
Say
bye. Come here. Say bye. Say bye.
Bye, Knox.
Bye. Thank you, guys. Love you. Greetings from Quito, Ecuador. Dear amigos. God bless. Bye-bye. Yeah.
And greet La Fuente from Cornerstone as well, especially Gabby and the other folks that we know.
I took a picture and sent it to her. So
sweet.
Yeah, totally. Sweet, she talks about you guys all the time. All right, love you guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.